Syracuse men's basketball thrown to the Wolves, come back leading the pack. The Wolves of NC State off in the corner, chewing on whatever chew toys Syracuse brought. Not chewing on those, but chewing on a deficit of double digits for most of the game. Syracuse comes out with a 77-65 win on home turf. And here on Orange Press Pass, we'll unpack the win, what went right for Syracuse, the key players, also the ceremony honoring Dave Bing and his induction into the Ring of Honor. There's a lot of stuff to go through here on Orange Press Pass. Don't miss a second. A half hour of college hoops ahead here on Citrus TV. Jesse Cook with you next to Srikar, Rajendran, and Rahill Jaiswal for Orange Press Pass after Syracuse beats down NC State 77-65. Most of the scoring done by 4 players, but Srikar, I know for your first thought, you want to touch on that defense. 16 points in transition.
Yeah, I mean, it says it all right there. I mean, the turnovers were a big flaw for NC State in this game, and Syracuse simply just took advantage, right? They capitalized on all of those turnovers. 16 points, you know, it all comes down to being able to capitalize on moments like that, and Syracuse certainly did.
Yeah, well, Jesse, you alluded to my first point, and that is 4 players in double figures. This was a really great game for scoring-wise. Yes, J.J. Starling and Judah Mintz led the team, but first half, Chris Bell got going. Second half kind of cooled off. Well, who took his place? Kind of Benny Williams. He had a great second half, so great to see for Syracuse in that they're getting multiple scorers involved.
And that's one of the main issues that stemmed from the loss to Florida State this past weekend. Well, Syracuse could not get its shots up, couldn't distribute the ball well. NC State, on the other hand, came in following 2 ACC wins. So how did this happen? Let's roll the tape and find out. It was all the first half. Syracuse set the tone early, and it was really one man getting the job done. So there's Judah Mintz with the ball, but it was his teammate wearing 1 digit lower. J.J. Starling, wearing number 2, comes through strong for the layup. You see that a lot early on. 10 straight points out of the gate for scorching hot J.J. Starling. He's from Baldwinsville, New York, about 20 minutes down the road, and he looked right at home all game. But it wasn't all orange all the way.
No, they couldn't pull away from this in any way. NC State still was able to stay in it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give credit to NC State, especially early on. They made their shots early on, got to the paint, kind of hung around for as long as they could.
That's a Dennis Parker 3 there, actually gave NC State the lead. But here Copeland missed on this shot, and the Wolfpack turned it the other way. Transition offense for NC State. DJ Horn on that layup, another NC State lead. But that's when Chris Bell entered the chat. 3-pointer, you saw that 3 times in the first half. He was really good. Double digits for him, 11 points in the first half. 23-4 run for the Cuse. Judah Mintz also looked strong, although most of his work came from the free throw line. He only hit 1 field goal in the first half. That was it. Waving goodbye there because that's basically when the game was sent away. Syracuse kept it going. Another 3-pointer for J.J. Starling. He ended up with 4 of those on the day. Remember, he hit 6 of 10 about a week ago. And bam! Benny Williams with the slam, the exclamation point, and why not give it to the guy who proclaimed himself the 6th man, Quadir Copeland. After this, sure, NC State did hit a few threes. DJ Horn had that shot there. But again, watch out, Quadir Copeland, he called himself the fire starter. Well, there you go. After the game, while the offense was good, head coach Adrian Autry said it was more the defense that made the difference.
You know, that's what I was looking for at the end, you know, towards the second half. You know, we had a big enough lead. You know, I wanted to see if we can, you know, really stop them and be patient on offense. So, but I was just proud of our effort today, you know, really from start to finish. You know, at the end, defensively, we broke down a little bit, but for the most part, our defense was really good today.
Syracuse ended up forcing double-digit turnovers in the first half. 10 turnovers for NC State in the first half. But again, the offense, gentlemen, J.J. Starling and Judah Mintz both look really strong.
Yeah, well, look at that backcourt. I mean, that is what you wanted all season from those two. Forming that tandem, getting chemistry, and both of them are now producing on offense.
Yeah, definitely. J.J. Starling today took the load. Judah Mintz a little bit more of a facilitator, but he stayed aggressive and got to the free throw line.
And it wasn't just those guys playing really well. We heard from Adrian Autry, but now let's hear from our reporter at the game, Mike Ostrowski. One of the big things that stuck out to me as a negative for Syracuse was the missed free throws. 12 missed shots from the charity stripe. Mike, did the players have anything to say about what went wrong there, going 20 of 32 on the game?
Well, Jesse, when it comes to the free throw line, Syracuse only shot 20 of 32, but they're focusing a lot more on the shots that they made as opposed to the ones they didn't. I talked to several players after the game, including Judah Mintz, and he said they're taking away that out of the sheer volume of shots they had, they're much more pleased with the ones that they did make. Off nights are going to happen with this team, especially when they get to the line so often. They're just going to move on and focus on the next one.
Hey, Mike, thank you so much for joining us. You're looking great. I wanted to ask about the decision to put in Peter Carey as the main defender against DJ Burns. You know, what did Coach Autry feel about that decision, and how do you think he performed?
Well, the answer is pretty simple. Coach Autry said that we can't have one guy guarding DJ Burns the whole night. Malik Brown had some of the action, but he got Peter Carey involved because of the height advantage. He has an extra 2 inches on him. Although they're not as physical, the results showed themselves. DJ was 1 of 6 in the first half, a complete non-factor at first, and because he was shut out early, Syracuse was able to build an early lead and never look back.
Hey, Mike, so Judah Mintz today, 9 assists. We've seen this over the last couple games. How has he evolved as more of into a facilitator role?
Well, the thing is with Judah Mintz, he is still the leading scorer on this team, and every team that they play knows that. So he is always going to draw the attention of the toughest defender on the opposing side. So when he cuts in the middle and opens up space on the perimeter, all Syracuse has to do is land their shots. NC State is not a good perimeter defense team, so J.J. Starling and Chris Bell took advantage early and often. And then when you got to the second half, Benny Williams had some good looks under the basket. So when those three are piling up and making their shots, when they have plenty of space, Judah Mintz is not going to be selfish. He's going to get his teammates the ball, and they're going to score just as frequently as he can.
Mike, you're right. There was a point in the game where Benny Williams, Judah Mintz, J.J. Starling, and Chris Bell all had double-digit points, while the rest of the team combined for just 3. So great job out there. Thank you for covering the game, and stay safe on your walk back to the station. But we're going to take a break here in our studio on Waverly Ave. When we come back, we'll unpack the shooting game for Syracuse and, well, the star of the show to say.
Meet Norm. He lives with anxiety, but with the help of this latest innovation from Be Normal, he can be normal, just like everyone else. With the swipe of a finger, you can project happiness, confidence, machismo. Why settle for being real when you can be normal? The Normal Maker, new from Be Normal. This item doesn't really work because there's no such thing as normal. We're all different. What we like, how our brains work. In fact, 1 in 5 of us live with mental illness. Don't filter who you are. Start by talking to someone you trust. And remember, there is no normal.
Orange Press Pass rolling back along. Jesse Cook, Srikar, Rajendran, and Rahill Jaiswal with you. Syracuse beats NC State 77-65. A lot of work coming in from three-point range. So, guys, let's just talk about it. Syracuse, in 8 ACC games this season, has hit above the 35% mark while allowing its opponent to hit under that mark only twice. This was one of those games. Srikar, let's start with you. This was really good for the Cuse.
No, it definitely was, Jesse. And one thing that I noticed, not only was it better than the FSU game, but there were certain nitpicks with that FSU game that they were able to kind of build on. One thing was the passing. There was a lot more passing in this game. Syracuse kept trying to swing it, find the open guy, and it led to better looks. And also, some players just went on hot streaks. For example, Chris Bell, he was a man on fire. So overall, I think it was the right blend of hot streaks and finding the right guy at the right time.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, Srikar, and that was mainly the passing wise. When SU makes their threes, this is a completely different team. And the main reason being, they are so focused with Judah Mintz driving the basketball. When they're hitting their perimeter shots, they can't clue in on him. They have more open looks, and this team is really dangerous when they can hit those three-point shots. The question is whether they can.
And Chris Bell, someone who has been sort of a first-half warrior for Syracuse this season. Remember, at the Pitt game, he ended up with 10 in the first half, but was pretty much silent after that. But we take a look at the Florida State game versus what happened in this one. The three-point turnaround for Syracuse, the numbers speak for themselves. 1 for 14 from long range on Saturday. I don't need to tell you guys, that's bad. 7 for 18, that's a little bit better.
Yeah, well, also you look at the individual players. J.J. Starling going from not hitting a 3 to hitting 4 in a game. I mean, that is market improvement.
Yeah, definitely. And also, Chris Bell, 3 of 6. We've seen him get hot during the season, especially in the game against Colgate. We saw it here. Again, when Syracuse can knock down their shots, there's so much more that opens up on offense for them.
Now, Srikar, you mentioned J.J. Starling. Let's talk about him. This was a fantastic game for the sophomore. He has really started to blossom as the season has gone through, and his second game, and his second time in the last 3 games, hitting more than 3 threes.
Oh, he was a man on fire. As I just mentioned, it was Chris Bell and J.J. Starling, but this was easily J.J. Starling's best game of the year. 26 points, a career high, everything. He looked a lot more confident in his shots, a lot more aggressive, and overall, I mean, this is the game that he has been waiting on. This is the culmination of him totally settling into this offense.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is what SU fans were expecting all year when they first got J.J. Starling. Remember, at Notre Dame, he was a shooter. They laid the groundwork. He had a good start. He had a good game against Pitt, which was kind of what started it all. Didn't have a great game against FSU, but let's be honest, outside of Judah Mintz, no one had a great game against FSU. He had the 6 threes against Miami, and now he translates it to a career-high 26 tonight.
4 straight games in double figures for J.J. Starling. It's the first time he has had a stretch like that this season, 3rd time in his career. But it wasn't just how Syracuse carried itself on offense with 1 star. The defense also produced in a big way. 10 turnovers in the first half, forced by the Syracuse defense. That is really strong. Also, 16 points in transition for the Orange. Really disrupted the Wolfpack in a lot of ways. Really put their claws right back in their paws. Rahill, what can you say about this defense?
Oh yeah, this is what we kind of want, what SU fans wanted to see. Remember, after the Florida State game, what did Adrian Autry say? They wore us down physically. That was not the case. They were great on defense. 10 steals. SU is a team that always likes to play aggressive because, as you alluded to, Srikar, they get out in transition. That's where they're at their most dangerous when it comes to guys like Judah Mintz, J.J. Starling driving the basketball.
Well, SU had held NC State to just 24% from the field midway through the second half. I think that, well, obviously that number ballooned up to 36% later on. But that first half was kind of an example of how you play clinical defense, how you be aggressive, how to contest. I mean, closing out, forcing NC State to take these lower percentage shots ultimately was going to help them in this game. So I think when you look at this game from a defensive standpoint, they did all they could. Obviously, the second half, maybe not what you wanted as a result, but I think the growth was tremendous from that FSU game.
Talk about growth as a team, growth for one player. 4 straight games in double figures for J.J. Starling. I don't need to tell you that 9 of 17 from the floor is good. 4 of 9 from 3-point range. J.J. Starling has really stepped things up of late, and that's why he's the Orange Press Pass Player of the Game. It's hard to find someone who made a bigger impact in this game than J.J. Starling. It's also the 4th time this season that he's led the Orange in scoring by the end of the game, so it really worked out for the Baldwinsville native. Like we talked about earlier, he's from about 20 minutes down the road. He looked at home all game, so that's the biggest factor and why he's our player of the game. We're going to take another break here on Orange Press Pass, but when we come back, we're going to take it from the basketball court to the bowling alley? Yeah, we're going bowling, and it's not football season. We'll see you in a quick minute to talk more about what Syracuse is doing right and what is a strike.
Welcome to an excellent episode of Live from Studio B.
Syracuse bowls over NC State 77-65. Moving back along here in Orange Press Pass, I'm Jesse Cook with Srikar, Rajendran, and Rahill Jaiswal, and we've moved over here because in bowling, you don't roll while you're sitting. You bowl while you're standing. You take that step, and you knock down the pins. So we're going to take a look at who's been doing the best job of knocking down the pins, checking those boxes for Syracuse. We got to start with how they play in the first half versus the second half. Bowling, you get 10 tries to get the strike and everything. You have 10 different rounds, 2 different tries per round. Syracuse, NCAA basketball, you get the first half and the second. And in the first half, maybe Syracuse gets a strike, but not even a spare in the second. Srikar, what's going right in the first and what's going wrong for the Orange?
Well, it's a lot like when I bowl, I'd say. I'm not a Pete Weber, okay? I'm not one of the greats.
Hey, who do you think you are? I am.
I went bowling recently, and
Really?
here's the thing, okay? My first half, excellent. My whole second half, all gutters. So that's kind of how I feel about this Syracuse team in the second half. You'll bowl great in the first half, but when it comes to that second half, I got to go maybe around 3 pins. You know, I don't think this team can really just make it work in the second half. Nothing carries over from the first half into the second half. They're not as aggressive. Defense is a lot more soft, and overall, they just flop completely.
Yeah, Srikar, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go a little higher. I'm going to go 4 now, granted. When I bowl, I do kind of put the bumpers up to avoid.
You're one of those
yeah, I'm
people.
one of those guys. At least at first. I've been trying to get out of it. I haven't been bowling in a while, but the last time I put the bumpers up. But kind of what similar to Srikar said with the 4 out of 10. This is a team that just cannot afford to collapse when it comes in the second half. We've seen a lot of games this year, whether it be against BC or another team. They haven't really executed well in the second half. Florida State was another one. The Duke game was a prime example where they let Duke shoot the lights out from the gym. And even now, a lot of sloppy plays, a lot of missed free throws. I mean, NC State was able to hang in this game just because of Syracuse's mistakes. So the Orange have to be better in second halves, especially when they play tougher teams in the ACC like we have seen.
And Rahill, you're right. Not everyone gets to put the bumpers up like you do when they go bowling or go shooting. Now, we saw a lot of Peter Carey in this game, and like me, he's from Massachusetts. We have candlepin bowling. It's a little easier. You can wrap your hand around the ball a little better, and, well, the pins, they fall a little easier. Someone who was making opponents fall over left and right, not Peter Carey, but someone else who plays down low. Benny Williams was fantastic in this game. But it would be an understatement to say he's flip-flopped a lot this season. Rahill, what can we expect from the big man? And is he knocking down all the pins, or is he putting up the bumpers?
He's not knocking all of them down, but he had a really good game today. This was a very solid Benny Williams performance. And the main reason I alluded to was the second half. I mean, he only had 3 points at the half, didn't really do much. Adrian Autry said in his press conference, he liked how he was active, down low, battling for rebounds. He got a good amount of rebounds today, 8 points as well, a couple of putbacks, and a few blocks. So overall, really solid performance. Now, I can't go any higher than I am just because the first half didn't really see much of him in the first half. But if you're Benny Williams, I mean, this is a really positive game for you, especially considering everything he's been through so far in his time at SU.
So if bowling includes 10 pins, I got to go right down the middle right here, Rahill. I'm going to go 5 pins for Benny Williams.
That's fair.
Now, here's the thing. He's not the most consistent player, and that's where this rating or this bowl kind of goes on the lower side because he can really be good. He has a lot of potential. He did great in this game in the second half, but in the first half, still only 3 points. So that inconsistent demeanor still follows through. So overall, I mean, I think Benny Williams has been good, not great.
So can we even out at a spare for Benny?
I think spare is still a little too high.
That's still too high. If you're
He's
going
not
5
even getting
pins,
all the pins down on 2 tries?
No, he's not.
Not there yet.
Even after all he's been through, like you said, Rahill, he's been through so much. He's been in and out of the starting lineup. He's been in the media.
I mean,
he's not even getting a spare.
He had a good performance today, but I mean, in order to get a spare, you got to be solid in both halves. He wasn't solid in the first half, so.
That's fair. Still, one of 4 players to reach double digits for Syracuse. Someone else who did that was J.J. Starling. We talked about him. He's our player of the game. 4th time leading the Orange in scoring this season. Also hit 4 threes on just 9 tries. That sounds pretty good. Was it all that? Was it a perfect strike, Srikar?
I'm not going to give it a strike,
Not a
Jesse.
perfect strike.
I'll go with a spare because here's my thing, Rahill. I know you're disagreeing with me already, but here's the thing. You got to hear me out. J.J. Starling is still just finding his way. He's just now settling into the offense, and this game was, the pinnacle of that. I feel like J.J. Starling still has a lot of potential down the stretch to make this into a strike. But I have to go with the spare because if we're taking in recent performances, yes, he's been building and building, but there's still that probability that the inconsistencies can creep back. That's why I have to go with a spare. I have to respect the performance, but I also have to respect what he's done, previously.
I mean, you score a career high and you can't get a strike. Come on, Srikar. It's a strike just for this game alone. He's laid the groundwork like we talked about. He was solid against Pitt. He had the off game against FSU. But again, everyone did. He hit 6 threes against Miami, and you're not giving him a strike for this one. Come on, 26 points. Scored the first 10 points out of the
Give me another game,
gates.
Rahill. Give me another game, and then we'll bump that up.
Okay, well, I respect that, but the Miami game means nothing all of a sudden. I mean, you got 22 there. You have an off game against FSU, but now you're back at 26. Jesse alluded to it earlier. First time in his career, he's got 4 straight games with
off game. That's why this is
yeah,
a
but
spare.
every player has an off game. I feel like the strike is the most fair thing here. I mean, I don't understand how you can have a career high with 26 points, hit 4 threes, and you can't get a strike.
Because it's all just about one game. Again, it's about taking in those recent performances as well.
All right, you guys are going back and forth.
I won't be bowling with him anytime.
Hey, we came here for a basketball game. We're talking bowling, and we almost have a hockey game breakout between you, or boxing match breakout between you two. But suffice it to say, we've hashed out Syracuse a lot in this one. J.J. Starling, Rahill, he bowled a perfect strike in this game. It's also his 4th straight game in double figures. First time he's done that this season. That's pretty strong stuff. But I will say, on the topic of Pete Weber, the world champion bowler who we talked about earlier, you guys bowled perfect strike. 300 games all around for both of you. And with this segment of Orange Press Pass, love it or hate it, you watched, and that's all you could do. But we're going to ask you to watch one more segment after this quick break. So, Rahill and Srikar and I will all be back in a moment to talk about more this season. Also, Dave Bing getting inducted into the Ring of Honor. We'll have all of that and a little bit more to wrap up the show after a quick break here on OPP.
They took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help.
Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Wrapping up here in Orange Press Pass, Syracuse nabs another win in the Dome after suffering its first loss in the friendly confines this past weekend. Jesse Cook with you with Srikar, Rajendran, and Rahill Jaiswal. Syracuse comes out on top by a 12-point margin, 77-65. And before we start to look around the rest of college basketball, did this game come as a surprise for you guys? Srikar, was this a surprising win?
I definitely think it does kind of count as a surprise because I'll be the first to say I don't think Syracuse was going to win this game. I thought the size advantage with DJ Burns and whoever they decided to throw up against him, it happened to be Peter Carey, whoever they wanted to put against him was going to get eaten up. So in that sense, I do think it was a surprise. Did SU have a shot? I think so.
Yeah, I'd say it was certainly surprising, especially considering the way they ended the last game and how deflating the FSU loss, first loss in the Dome. So I do in all think it was a surprising win, but again, it's a good win, but nothing to get over celebrating about.
Hey, NC State came in following a pair of ACC wins, but let's look elsewhere around the country now to see some other surprises around the NCAA. And right away, I'm looking at that not one, not two, three overtime game. Texas Christian beats a ranked Baylor team. That's insane.
No, it definitely is, and that was the game I'm eyeing too with both teams going into the triple digits there. That was an absolute barn burner. Another one I'm looking at, North Carolina over Florida State. That's a big win. Florida State obviously beating the brakes off of Syracuse, and now they see RJ Davis and that Tar Heels team, and they get beaten down.
Yeah, how about the Duke and Clemson game? Now remember, Clemson is a team Syracuse is going to have to face. They pushed Duke to the absolute brink today. So Syracuse still has got two games, one on the road, one at home against the Tigers. That's going to be really interesting to see how the Orange prepare for that one because that is a very good Clemson team.
Very good Clemson team, big player in the ACC standings near the bottom there. Somehow Syracuse is in the middle of the pack when it comes to overall play and conference wins, but I am interested to see how the Tigers can surge back the rest of the way. Of course, number 3 UNC, that might be your national champion.
I don't think anyone's catching UNC
no,
in this conference.
Me neither. UNC is still unbeaten in conference play. They got a huge win over FSU. Duke, Virginia, and FSU below them. It'll be interesting to see how Syracuse does against some of these teams.
Especially round 2 against North Carolina. That'll be back at the Dome. Remember, SU got the brakes beat off and gave up over 100 points. We'll see how they respond to that one.
And now one team you didn't see in the top 10 there, Boston College, a crew that has really struggled. A team Syracuse already beat once this season back here in Syracuse in the Dome. This time Tuesday night, we've got all your coverage post-game and during here on Orange Press Pass. 7 o'clock tip out in Chestnut Hill. What can we expect going into Tuesday?
Well, you got to keep the momentum pushing with this game. Every game is a must-win at this point. Boston College is definitely beatable, so all I got to say is handle business, and you'll be on the right track.
Yeah, definitely handle business, and remember, so when Syracuse last played Boston College, they almost let them back into that game just based off silly mistakes and turnovers. So the Eagles have proven, if you give them opportunities, they're more than capable of taking advantage.
But Syracuse is a team that has pulled out some serious takeaways. Second best as far as steals in the ACC, 8.8 steals per game. That's my final thought on this game. Rahill, what are you thinking for your final word on this win for Syracuse?
I feel bad kind of ending it on a little bit of a negative note, but it's make your free throws. This is a team that shot 20 of 32 from the free throw line. That cannot happen. Outside of Judah Mintz, they were 6 of 12 from the line. I mean, it annoys every single person watching the game at every single level. I mean, I played rec basketball when I was 8. We had to make our free throws, I'll tell you that.
No, we had to make our free throws as well, but I think even bigger than that is finish strong, close out games. We saw this second half against NC State. Those missed free throws helped NC State hang around, so when you go up against better teams, legit ACC teams for that matter, you're going to want to close out games because you can't leave these better teams hanging around.
And that's right, a 12-point lead at the end of the game that really felt a lot closer than that. I mean, it's 4 buckets away. NC State tried plenty of threes throughout the contest, but you make all your free throws and suddenly a 12-point game is a 24-point game and leaves Syracuse fans a lot more confident afterwards.
No, 100%.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and it's not even you have to make all of them. Just get to maybe where you miss 4 or 5. I mean, that's a huge difference.
So that's all we have here on Orange Press Pass. Syracuse comes out with the win for Rahill, Jaiswal, and Srikar, Rajendran, and our entire OPP production crew. I'm Jesse Cook saying thank you so much for watching.